Hello and welcome to another inspiring episode of A Different Kind of Woman. A different kind of woman is comfortable in her own skin. So why do many beautiful women feel ugly or ashamed of their appearance? On today's show, Ashamed of My Beauty, we'll be discussing why we feel ashamed. Joining me is psychologist and agony aunt Dr. Jane McCartney. Welcome, Jane.
Hello, Elephant. Nice to see you.
Now, this topic is really interesting. You know, when I was going through my share of embarrassment, I have like a long list of things I can recall that I reacted really in a negative way.
Yeah.
Can you think of situations where you have felt embarrassed?
Yeah, I suppose if we think about how our appearance, it's something it's the first thing that people see about us, even before we've opened our mouths, before we've said anything. So there's that element of I'm being judged instantly. And then if you kind of get into the comparison thing that people might be thinking, oh, you know, look at you. You know, there's this thing, isn't there, about, you know, we're brought up to be lovely little girls that do all our lovely little girl things. And then we suddenly kind of hit a certain time of our lives. And then we, you know, there's that element of starting to check each other out. And it's a shame, really. I think that's one of the saddest things about this topic, that there's almost a culture that says, oh, you know, compare yourself, look at somebody else. Is somebody else better looking than you, or slimmer than you, or got a better job than you, or whatever it is. And, you know, and it's so damaging to our self-worth.
It is. And as women, sometimes we are so competitive.
Yes.
We are the ones, you know, that are so judgmental, you know, within ourselves. We judge ourselves, how we appear to others as well.
Totally.
But as I was going through the list, I was thinking, you know, from my personal experience, because I grew up in the Caribbean, and of all things, I had allergy with the sun.
Right, that's not really good, is it?
So I had to stay away from the sun, not to be in direct contact, always wear long sleeve. I had ointment that I had to put on my skin. So I grew up, you know, thinking that I'm ugly. You know, my other school friends, they were in short sleeve and I had to wear this long sleeve. So at the beginning, it was really a complex one for me, where I was judging myself and judging how other people probably perceived me.
Some of your very first memories of I'm different to other people, and you know, there's a medical reason why I'm different, but I am different.
And not only that, Jane, guess what I had as well?
Go on.
An allergy against perfume.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Okay.
I would faint if the perfume is too strong.
Oh gosh, okay.
And definitely couldn't put it on my skin, because I would be double heat rash on my skin.
And a lot of products have perfumes in them, so.
Exactly, creams, all sorts. And even just the smell of it, someone passing by with strong scented perfume, that would just knock me out. Okay,
and so if you had fellas walking past you with their aftershave, they used to think that you were so enamoured with them that you were fainting.
That's too funny. Okay, so guys, you at home listening to the program, what do you think is the difference between feeling embarrassed and ashamed?
What do you think? What do you think is the difference between?
I think the difference is reaction.
Yeah.
How we react to when situations or how someone treats us. Like, for example, like dealing with feeling ashamed, I think also deals with being sort of like you're sorry for what you did. You're repenting of the mistake that you have made or things you have done.
Sure,
Yeah. So from your point of view, what do you think the difference is?
That when we look at, if you look at research into neurological research, and you look at the teenage brain, the little bit, the prefrontal cortex has got this area to it that kind of is not, it doesn't really develop until you're about 21 or something. And they've done some really interesting experiments where one particular one I remember that they put, bizarrely, I think it was in Canada, they put a teenager in a shop window and got their friends to come along and just look at them. And then they were monitoring their levels of stress and cortisol and all the things. And the teenager would just sit there and just go bright red and just look away and do everything possible not to be, because they were so embarrassed because this bit of their brain isn't quite developed enough.
Yes.
Whereas if you put an adult in the same situation, they just
total different.
Yeah, absolutely, because so embarrassment is a very neurological thing.
Yes.
It can be a very whereas shame is much more of an emotional topic.
Yeah,
and I think
definitely more emotional.
Yeah, that's kind of the
the
real qualitative difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree, because definitely over time, as you get older, the way you reacted to situations, you no longer react in the same way.
No.
And I can give loads of examples. Like, for example, when I was doing my nursing degree, at the beginning, I had to start off as a healthcare assistant. Mm-hmm. And then I would think, oh my God, what would people think if they see me doing all this cleaning and all these sort of jobs, But then I thought, what am I worrying about? This part of the process.
Yeah, what does it matter?
What does it matter? What doesn't matter what other people's opinion is? I'm earning, I'm learning, I'm developing. So there's no point for me to...
But what was very important there for you was you were rationalising that.
Yes, yeah.
And I think, again, that's a thing that you learn, that you grow up and you experience, and you can actually, what matters so much at one point in your life
exactly
really doesn't later.
Well, viewers, before we go further into today's topic, let's find out what the people on the streets of London think.
The roots of the word shame are thought to come from an older word meaning to cover, which makes sense. Shame can feel like wanting to run for cover. But what exactly is shame? Embarrassment and shyness, for example, are two forms of shame that seldom cause trouble unless they're extreme or long-lasting. However, problems occur when shame or humiliation becomes an integral part of a person's self-image or sense of self-worth. Over the past 2 decades, psychologists, psychiatrists, and other mental health professionals have reported that abnormal styles of handling shame play an important role in social phobias, eating disorders, domestic violence, substance abuse, road rage, and a host of other personal and social problems. Some of the most important factors that help cause shame for women are appearance or body image, motherhood, family, parenting, money, work, health, age, gender, religion, traumas, speaking up, and being labelled. Researchers studied 465 undergraduate women to find out whether those who are most likely to objectify their bodies would in turn be most likely to show an association between appearance and self-worth. They found that yes, women who were very conscious of their body's appearance were the most likely to suffer ill effects on their self-esteem from defining themselves in terms of their appearance. When children are about to go towards something dangerous, they're joyfully approaching until parents implement shame to stop their uncontrollable energy. Some psychologists believe that this is overused and can cause real issues if there's no rebuild of the child's self-esteem. Other root causes of shame are abuse, bullying, and images in the media. Let's find out what the public think.
I guess like the kind of thing I see in magazines and stuff, and like I studied fashion, so a lot of my uni friends, stuff like that.
So I'm into black cinema, okay, so with film, literature, my culture, which is basically Jamaican.
I think it comes from the people around me and how I'm made to feel like inside and out by my friends and my family and the people that make me feel good about who I am.
It's definitely changed over the last few years. I think the last few years I've been really lucky to be surrounded by like a really amazing and supportive group of women. So I think it comes from us there. We're all very, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, which is lovely. But before that, definitely influenced by the media, definitely influenced by my family. I've got family members who've been on and off diets for as long as I can remember, so I think that had a big impact.
Changing room mirrors and changing room lighting, that's terrible. And pre-holiday shopping, that's never fun.
Guilty or ashamed, that's an assumption that I feel guilty or ashamed about my body image. I tell you what, I was in Dublin in about 2008 and somebody asked me what do I like most about my face. I said the colour of my skin. So I don't feel guilty or ashamed about being black or blackness, not at all.
There's still so many food types that I feel like, you know, has to be reserved for a special treat, or, you know, if you have too much, you feel guilty.
It makes me feel guilty that I'm worried what other people think about my image. It makes me feel guilty that it matters to me what I look like to other people, when really it's about the internal stuff. So, yeah, that.
Where do you believe body image comes from?
I think it is something that is very modelled to us. You know, if we think, you know, for both males and females, but I think particularly for girls, it can be modelled by our mums, our aunts, our older sisters.
Family members.
Yeah, so if somebody is confident in their body and you're around that person a lot, then you can. I think there's a slight, you know, friends, it's a slightly different quality because it's not just, there's almost that little, it can be a little bit competitive, it can be a little bit, you know, edgy sometimes. Whereas, so body image, body confidence, I think very much comes from, you know, it's interesting listening to the lady that said, oh, you know, when I go shopping with my mum and she sometimes brings a bigger size in, you know, from the one hand you can see it, oh, you don't have to do that. But then in the other hand you can see it, mum's kind of thinking, well, just get the size.
Get the right size.
And then also, we can just go then.
But listen, I don't need mom to do that. I do that myself.
Right.
I take my size and I take a size bigger.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't want it to be too tight.
No.
So sometimes I do the same. But I understand. We can talk so much about this subject matter, and we are going to. But first of all, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned and look at what's coming up next. I'll be joined by Careers business coach Lydia Amor.
Shamed about yourself in the first place.
Welcome back on today's show, Ashamed of My Beauty. We have been discussing body image. So joining us to discuss the topic further is business coach and motivational speaker, Lydia Amor. Welcome, Lydia.
Thank you.
Yes.
Great
so
to be here.
how do you feel, or what is your feelings of being ashamed, and how does it affect women in the workplace?
Yeah, I mean, this whole topic about being, you know, ashamed is such a deep-rooted topic, but I find that in the workplace, sometimes women can just be worrying about what other women are thinking, and it can really hold them back from opportunities, promotion, learning and development, and the onslaught of that, it means that they haven't got a voice. I've gone into many businesses and they just say, I'm sitting at the boardroom or I'm sitting in a meeting and, you know, I'm not being heard, I'm not being listened to.
Yeah.
And I say, have you actually spoken up? And they say no.
No.
And then I ask why. I feel embarrassed, I feel ashamed. What are you ashamed of?
Exactly.
That's the thing. What are you ashamed of?
Yeah.
So it goes, but it runs so much deeper.
Do they have that sense of that they're being doubly judged? It's not just about the business on the table. It's about how they put it over. It's about what they, you know, if they're putting themselves forward for something. Is it just them as a business they're putting forward, or is it actually them as the person?
You know what? I just think actually it's the culture of the business.
Yeah.
And a lot of the businesses I go into, they're quite like media type businesses.
Yes.
And they're big personalities, bold personalities in there. And I'm not saying you have to be loud to put your point across. You can be the strong, silent type, or you can just be really out there. But the most important thing is, what's the belief behind why you feel shamed about yourself in the first place? And a thing is, some women can also feel that if they speak up, it's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
They're worried about their colleagues. If their colleagues think, oh, look, look at her going for this opportunity. I want to go for the opportunity. So they're being too sensitive to what's happening around them. But, you know, shame is a word. Shame's a deep-rooted word. It's all behind guilt. And it's almost like impressions of society or impressions of the workplace, what people think in the workplace, and then they adhere to that. So they're trying to fit in, but they're not really being themselves. So they have a double whammy of shame. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're not being authentic. They're not being their true selves. They want to be
sincere.
at the same time, but at the same time they're trying to fit into the culture of the company, and they don't fit into that either.
Yes.
I think half of the time too is a self-esteem, self-esteem issue.
Oh, it is.
You know, sometimes they're not feeling they're worthy.
No. And I think a lot of women, as you say, sit around a boardroom. And they, the first thing you do is you kind of assess how many other women there are there.
Yes.
And it's a majority or it's a minority. Those both things come with their own hassle, don't they? Because
really
it's like are you a bunch of what's because you're women around a boardroom, or are you a token woman? Or it's really
and it's
difficult.
like, where do you position yourself? There's a whole thing of, do you position yourself? Where do you position yourself? So it's a lot of being self-conscious.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we hold great power in the workplace.
We do.
So we shouldn't be ashamed of, going the extra mile for us to speak up, whether we need a pay increase. Exactly. We shouldn't be ashamed at all. But there's some of us that stand up for our rights and are penalized because of this.
Yeah.
So I can understand why some are a bit fearful, but we should not use that fear to just stay in the background.
But I think as well, other people use that instant sense of shame and embarrassment to maintain.
Also, keep people down as well.
So it's not just a very much internalised thing. It's other people externalising onto you.
Yes.
And, us as kind of, females, we tend to be a little bit too absorbent of it.
Women, we can be quite sensitive and we pick up on our environments because I think we're innately like that anyway. We pick up, like Ashley said earlier, it's that body language. First of all, somebody's assessing you as you walk in.
Yes.
All of these things. The mind's just going overtime. Does that make sense?
Well, have you heard first impression counts?
Exactly.
So we sort of grew up on that saying, first impression counts. So I have to take care of myself. I have to be mindful of how I look. So that whole body image, the body image, I believe, starts from young.
And when you think about something like body dysmorphia disorder, which is when people have a belief about their appearance in some way or another, that they truly, truly believe, perhaps, I believe that, I have a big nose or something like that, and, I don't think I do, but, that could just be an example. But nothing, and people will spend hours and days and anything at all to do something to rectify what they really truly believe. It's a pretty rarity. There's people that get a bit over the top with makeup and get a little bit obsessed by it. And actual proper BDD is really pretty rare, but it does exist. It's a genuine.
It does. But as ladies, your work, among other women and men in the business field, what do you think stops the women from asking for more money?
Listen, I think it's one of my top subjects.
You go.
And they say that a lot of women, the research out of men and women, they will say men initially, when they go for a job interview, they will go for the high, imagine the salaries, 40,000 to 50,000. And the woman will probably just, most of the time, go in at 40,000. The man will go in 48, 45, 48, 50. And if women do not start negotiating their salaries early on in their career, they'll never get used to asking for what they're worth. And then women don't ask for fear of, do I look greedy? What will my employer think of me? But at the end of the day, actually employers have more respect for you standing up for yourself. Because that's a self-reflection of how you hold yourself in the business moving forward. So
sometimes it's a low self-esteem where they don't think... they question themselves.
What do you think, Dr.
It's rules that we impose upon ourselves. But do you not think as well, the good thing about all this is they're there and they're being broken. And there's people like you that go in, and obviously, people want you to come in for a particular reason because they want that worth,
Turn over the business.
So then how much of a discrimination do you think we do for ourselves?
Oh gosh, we can really discriminate because there's so much discrimination. There's age discrimination, isn't there? Race, gender, religion. It just goes on and on and on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And there's just so many rules in society which are there for the reasons they're there.
Yeah.
And we don't all fit into those little boxes, do we?
We don't,
and
no.
that's
And that's the difficulty. And then sometimes people, they will change, as you say. You go in and you think, oh, okay, my worth isn't that much, so I'll just go for that lower salary thing.
Yes.
And then gradually you start actually thinking, no, I am worth more than
exactly.
this. And it's about that self-empowerment. It's about that belief.
Yes.
And sometimes, and I often say this to my clients, sometimes you've got to be your best advocate, your own best advocate. And things like, no matter what it is, even if it's just a small thing that you feel that you've achieved, acknowledge it. In some
it's
way
like you got to be your biggest cheerleader.
Definitely.
Absolutely,
You really can't expect other people to do for you.
No.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter whether it's about the work situation, whether it's about looks, whether it's about relationships,
it applies to everything.
Yeah, it does,
And I think that sometimes we can actually self-discriminate. Does that make sense? So if we see a woman and she's doing really well, like you're doing really well, you're here, right? You're hosting the show, okay, right? And some people need to support you and encourage you and say, great, you've got that position, great, look at you doing this. But then sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. So instead of encouraging, we might just be a bit jealous towards the person, but we don't know their journey, do we? To how they got there and what training and development and what they did to get themselves there.
Totally, it's
Does that make
jealousy.
sense?
Totally, it's a real,
that comes into it.
Totally.
So we self-discriminate as well. So there's discrimination there.
So what is the solution for us to deal with this issue?
Loving yourself is an absolute fundamental because it's so important, because when you're in a place that you are beginning to love yourself, appreciate yourself, value yourself, you're going to be in a better disposition than the opposite. And that's daily work, by the way.
It is,
It's daily work.
You have to
continuous work.
Yes.
And also I think sometimes, some of the things I do with some of my people is, they're in a position where they're not very happy and things go wrong. And we talk about having, sometimes a bit of a friends audit.
Yes.
Because when you have your Christmas card list
like
and it goes long, and you think, actually, I haven't heard for that person for 5 years, but I still send them a Christmas card. No, they have to go. And sometimes you have to do that a little bit with your friends. You have to do a friends audit, because sometimes you have people in your life that aren't good for you.
Absolutely.
And they give you roles that aren't good for you.
Yes.
They adopt roles that they want to that aren't very good for them.
I call it the 5% club.
Right, okay. Go on, tell me.
Look at the 5%. They say if you look at the 5% of people that are consistently around you, they'll be the ones that influence your thinking.
Right.
So if you think who are the 5% of people,
and if they're people
you
that
spend the majority of your time with them, if they're negative influences, what happens then?
You have to do something. And it can be a bit easier with friends as opposed to family.
Detox list.
But it's still easy. It's
we all need one. We all have either friends, family, co-workers. We all have someone.
Phone screen is really good.
No, it's really, really important, because for you to consistently have someone who is negative, who brings you down, it's not healthy. It's not good.
No. And often that is born out of jealousy.
Completely.
Because they feel that you are achieving more, you are, whatever it is. And it can be real, a real thing, but it can be an imagined thing as well. And then that affects us as well, because then we think, oh, I'm around that person. I'll just tone it down a bit. And that's not healthy.
Or we try to see how we can help them.
Yes. Yeah, we please.
Yes. Because we see that quality in them, so we try to help. But we'll discuss this even more.
Okay.
We're going to take a short break. Don't go away. Take a look at the interesting woman that will be joining us after the break. Next, we'll be hearing from designer Burgess Chauhan, and Mimi Mukendi will be joining us in the studio to tell her real life story.
That I was there, so she would say things like, oh, you're useless.
Welcome back on today's show, Ashamed of My Beauty. We have been discussing how we discriminate against ourselves. Burgess Chauhan, a designer and social entrepreneur and passionate advocate for diversity and inclusion in the creative industries, met with Priscilla. Here's what she had to say.
Hello, today I'm sitting with the talented fashion designer Burgess Chauhan. Tell us, how did you progress from rug designing to fashion design?
Well, I studied at Central St Martin's and I wanted to go into fashion, but after working at Vivienne Westwood, I kind of realised that I had to work 24/7. It was like non-stop, and I just thought, how am I going to have a family if I'm going to be in the fashion industry? And also, not coming from a very privileged background, I realised that you need a lot of capital to start up your fashion business. So I thought, let me gradually wean into it. First do rug designing because I like painting, and why not make it more functional? Because I feel that art is definitely for the privileged class, and I thought, I don't have any contacts to sell art, but if I can make my art into more commercial entity like rugs, it becomes more functional, and I can start selling it. And that's how I did that for about 10 years, and then I went back into fashion.
All right, and what inspired your designs?
I think people inspires me. I set up my fashion business purely because there was necessity. I felt that there was a gap missing in the market for Muslim women, well-travelled, well-educated women who couldn't find the clothes that they wanted to wear. So out of necessity, I set up this business because I struggled to find clothes on the high street. So I thought there must be a lot of women out there who feel the same way.
Why do you believe some women are ashamed of their beauty?
I think young girls have it really tough. They're bombarded by magazines, by TV, about how you should be looking, how men want you to look, how you should conform to looking hot and looking a certain way. So I think as growing up in a Western society or even an Eastern society, women feel that if you don't look that type, then you shouldn't be really who you are. So I think there is a huge issue within women about feeling complex and feeling that you have to look skinny, you have to be tall, you have to have a certain nose to look beautiful. And if you don't kind of conform or you don't look that part, then you start feeling ashamed of how you are. But I think things are changing now. I think a lot of organizations, a lot of people are realizing that there is not just one woman, there are different types of women, and everyone should be celebrated for their beauty in different ways.
How can your work help empower women internationally?
By giving them choices. I think that's what it is. I don't believe in an oppressed society. I think it's not just the East who are oppressed, it's the Western women are also oppressed because they're kind of over-sexualized, I would say, at times. Women, they don't want to dress this, but they feel that if I don't go to this party, then I won't fit in. So I think equal way, whether it's West or East, my clothes are saying that, look, you can be yourself at all times. If you want to show your flesh, you can, but you also have a choice of looking stylish without showing your flesh. And I think that is empowerment.
So I know that you have a charity, right? What are you hoping to achieve?
The whole point in setting up this initiative is to give working class kids an opportunity to thrive in the arts, because I feel that growing up I wasn't really exposed to that world, and I feel that the arts is not just for the white middle class or upper class. So it's going into schools and educating children, launching competitions, allowing them to come to my fashion shows, to my video shoots, so that they have an opportunity to see what I'm doing, and maybe that will inspire them to actually venture into the arts or enterprise.
Thank you very much, Barges. And it's back to you in studio.
What an inspiring lady. However, joining us in the studio is another inspiring lady, and her name is Mimi Mokunde. Welcome, Mimi. Welcome to the studio.
Hello.
So how have other women affected the way you see yourself?
Well, growing up, I heard a lot of, negative words to me, and, all this like, you can never amount to anything, you're useless. And because, as I was growing up, I had siblings, and they used to kind of take care of all the chores that had to be around in the house, and so I was just left to kind of be spoiled. So I grew up until a certain age. I even to do the washing up dishes, and I didn't know how to do any of this, mopping the house. I didn't know. And so then when I reached, so up until the age of 10, I was then living with my brother and his partner. And she didn't like the fact that I was there. So, she would say things like, you're useless, you can't amount to anything. And you know, because as well, because of her words, and could see that within myself, you know, that I didn't, you know, whenever I would wash the dishes, it would break, and I would mop, you know, I wouldn't do it properly. Yeah, so
were they like able to like teach you how to do it properly?
No, she would point out, oh look, you know, you didn't do that properly, you know, you can't do anything, you can't do this, you can't do that. And you know, for me, those words really put me down, because I then started, you know, I saw that, you know, I was, you know, I was saying even negligent, like how for me, I felt like I'm all grown up and I don't know how to do anything, and you know, so
it must have been so confusing for you.
Yeah,
you know,
and
10, 11, 12 is that really important kind of transition time.
Sometimes. Yeah, so you know, all those things, you know, hearing her saying all those things, and me actually, because I couldn't do it as well myself, so it stuck within me, you know, it went inside of me, and I kept it in my mind. So that's how I was growing up.
So it must have done. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, do you think it kind of formed an image of yourself that was so completely different to the one that you had, as you say, you know, the slightly spoiled princess? Did it then reform this very negative image, self-image you had of yourself?
Yeah, I believe that, you know, I used to be a very, you know, like outgoing person and very open. I would speak up, but I think, you know, happened when all these things then started to happen, I became a bit more closed, and you know, as things was happening at home, I felt like I couldn't tell, you know, like I couldn't tell people. So like this was happening with my brother's partner, but you know, my brother didn't know about this. My family, my siblings didn't know.
Did she tell you not to say anything? Did she? What made?
No, she never actually said that. But I just felt like I couldn't say anything. I feel, you know, they had a child. I felt like if I did, you know, it would be like I would split them up. It's disrespectful, and they will end up arguing, they will split, and everything will be
there's so many sort of conflicting beliefs, because you grew up in one element where you were completely really loved, you know, and everything done for you, then the next another part of your life
extreme.
So one extreme, so you can have like really conflicting beliefs when it comes to assessing people and how to behave around them.
So Mimi, let's look at today. How has that relationship rebuilt? How has your confidence changed over
your relationship with yourself?
You know, how I had to deal with it is that, you know, I really kind of had to, you know, put myself out there and, you know, speaking to people, and I attended as well like different seminars where I was able to, you know, to be helped, you know, to see that, okay, you know, that those things, it wasn't my fault, because up until a certain point I was blaming myself. Because even afterwards, as I went into care, they then split up. So you can say even a part of that was still in my mind. So I was
blaming yourself.
I know that, you know, it was my fault, but I was able to receive that help, to see that, you know, it wasn't my fault. And, you know, and it's all like, it's the past, not to allow it to, you know, to change me, to make me into someone really I'm not. You know, because
because we all have a past. We all have things that, you know, that we have been through. But the difference is where we are today. Have we allowed our past to influence our future, where we're still stuck in the past, where we can't overcome the issues, the traumas that we had in the past? But obviously you received help. You have gained a better understanding of how to use your faith, how to take actions, to forgive, and so forth. So all these things, I believe, helps you to develop and change and forgive. Forgive yourself, forgive others, you know. It's important.
Like, you know, all of that, I really can see that, you know, it was like that fear of, back then looking, you know, it was that fear that, you know, as you were speaking earlier, like, I will be judged, you know, it will be put on me that, you know, oh, it's your fault. And, you know, because now as I speak about it with my family and they're like, why did you not open up then? You know, why did you go through all of this alone?
But yeah, because the fear was engendered by somebody to get what they wanted.
Exactly. That's the thing.
So, and I'm sure a lot of other people probably going through the same thing, and they probably kept that to themselves. They're not able to open up or speak to anyone.
Yeah, people do when there's abuse of whatever nature goes on.
Yes.
You know, the first thing that people tend to feel is that they're made to feel that it's their own fault, and therefore, you know, this is where embarrassment and shame comes in, because you feel that, you know, I've done something to make myself feel like this.
Yeah,
so
completely.
So
you know, as a child, you'll think it's your fault, won't you? You're just
you're still a child. But now that you're grown, beautiful adult now, you can look back and smile.
Yes, you know, it's definitely an experience that I can look back on, and it's made me stronger.
Definitely.
And, you know, I know that, you know, not to allow, you know, negative words even to have such an impact on me,
on your life.
that I change who I am, you know, to please others, because I think, you know, that's what happened then. So now, you know, I am much better.
Oh, thank you so much, Mimi. Your story is really inspiring.
Thank you.
So we're going to take a short break, but don't go away. We'll be back with more on Ashamed of My Beauty. Here's a sneak peek of what's coming up after the break. Next, we'll find out what Cheryl Jumbo, the founder of Black Fashion and Beauty Awards, has to say, and find out how easily influenced we are in a test.
I didn't know much about cosmetics and
Welcome back. Today's topic is Ashamed of My Beauty. Our team met with Cheryl Jumbo to find out what she was up to at the House of Commons.
Well, it's a bit of a happy accident, actually. I started in sound engineering, and during a shopping trip for some foundation, I met the most amazing beauty consultant, and she asked more personal questions about what I'm doing, what I'm studying, where I see myself. It's quite an experience, actually. So I shared with her that I was on this journey to becoming a sound engineer, and she just kind of scoffed and said, "Oh, no, darling, you're in the wrong industry. I see you in the beauty industry with a little Hitachi case going to business meetings." So I thought, how bizarre is that? It was so far removed from the life I was living at the time. So I went back to studying as usual, but decided to do a part-time job in the cosmetics industry. I didn't know much about cosmetics and felt it was quite the superficial or fickle industry. So that's really how I kind of ventured into the beauty industry. After working as a temporary consultant with a beauty agency, kind of got a taste for it. And the engineer inside of me wanted to know why are women buying these products? What is it that makes the ladies come back? And what also makes these products so effective? So so the rest is history. I decided to look into studying the science of beauty. Fortunately, there was a degree at the London College of Fashion, which was a cosmetic science degree, and I signed up and became a scientist. The Black Beauty and Fashion Awards came from a feeling of social exclusion. As a cosmetic scientist, I would have to attend industry awards as standard protocol. And there was one particular award that I went to. We got back to the lab and we looked at our goodie bags and tried all the products. And it suddenly dawned on me that it's a great feeling to see products that you've had a hand in manufacturing be top performing products for the year, but realizing as a consumer that actually there wasn't much available for me, and no one was really looking at what are the most effective products out there. And considering I spent quite a lot of money, I contribute massively to the UK economy through my hair and beauty needs, I really wanted to know what's available for me and what's the best product on the market. And I thought that maybe I should be the one to create that needed change. So that's really how the awards came about. And what we hope to achieve is to see award-winning products in stores across the UK and further afield. What media can do more is to embrace and celebrate diverse beauty in all its forms, different shades, colours, sizes, shapes, and letting women also know that their beauty isn't just outwardly, it's also inwardly. So it's a combination of feeling empowered through inner beauty and outer beauty, but seeing more images that support the diversity of beauty and the society that we live in can definitely have a helping hand in that.
Definitely the media has a lot to do with our body image and how we view ourselves. So a more diverse beauty industry is the way forward. But how influenced are we exactly? Are you an obstinately independent spirit or someone who easily integrates others' views and opinions into your thinking? Let's take a test to find out the degree to which you can be influenced or not. Whether they're for food or beauty products, TV adverts, here's a list of a few options. A, make you want to try the product, or B, inform you about new things, or C, are quite entertaining to watch, or D, are something to be suspicious of. So let's look at that question again, because I know you're probably wondering whether food or beauty products or TV adverts influence you.
Sure. Yeah, I think what's interesting, I think there's been some research done a long time ago that when it's interesting, one of the options was something that entertains you.
Yes.
And they found, this was quite a long ago research, it might be slightly different in the social media world, that they found that people, when they were watching things that amused them, actually forgot what the product was, and they didn't sell quite as much. That's why you get so many kind of quite serious still adverts, because it does get the message across. Because if you're being entertained and amused, you don't tend to remember. You just remember the amusement.
That's true. And also, have you noticed that with adverts, like if you're watching a programme, as soon as the adverts come on, it gets so much louder.
Yes, the volume does go up.
So it's just like, into...
But the colours as well.
Yeah.
More vibrant. Vibrant colours.
Definitely.
Does influence us.
Makes you want to sort of step into it.
Yeah. Thinking of that, and it's true. Like, it makes you, even when the next time the advert comes on again, it's like you wanted to see it again, just for the product.
Yeah, like I saw a product about coconut. Yes. And the way how they use the coconut. I went out and buy coconut to cook with, coconut from my hair, coconut oil.
We're easily influenced.
Definitely. Easily influenced. Music is powerful, because music is a great influencer.
Yeah.
So you really remember a product just by the music. It's got,
So definitely you'll make a decision based on how and what you see.
Yeah,
definitely.
So let's look at our other question. Okay. Before making an important decision, you get very stressed, or B, you have a drink, a cigarette, or a bar of chocolate, or C, you ask everyone else their opinion, or D, you avoid other people so that you can make your own decision freely.
I guess it depends, doesn't it, what the decision is. Yeah, sometimes you need influences of other people.
Yeah.
You might completely ignore them, but it's good to hear what they have to say.
Yeah. I think when making an important decision, it depends on what it is, because you would need probably to have a meeting with the team, or to find out from other point of view, their input as well. So it depends on what the subject matter is. Some things I know that is just me. I need to just be in that quiet room, and just I have a list. I have things to do list. I love to write. So sorry, I would usually write things down. That works for me, and it gives me a chance to think, get my thoughts together.
I think like if it's something, if it's affect me, you know, just me personally.
Yes.
And I think I would first like listen to maybe to see what maybe other people may think, but then I would sit down, you know, on my own and kind of think, okay, what do I want, you know? Is it something, you know, do I choose this or do I choose that? And yeah, that's how if you know, depending on if it's like a team thing that will not just affect me, then I would definitely like, you know, address it.
Yeah. Now I think like for me, like when I was deciding to change careers, that was like a really important move for me. So I just needed time for myself.
You do?
Just to sit down and work out my goals.
And I think sometimes as well, we have a sixth sense, don't we, that tells you, and you know, we have to listen to it.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, because I think we've all got I think,
it's a bit of,
or not, but there's just something sometimes that tells you about when it comes to important decisions.
Yes.
Whether it's good, whether it's bad, and you know, we've probably all got examples.
That inner instinct.
When we've gone against it.
Yes.
And
Okay, so let's look at our next question. When you see a footage of some disaster on the news, you feel A, horrified, B, distressed, C, you're moved, or D, you're outraged?
Gosh, you can feel all of those.
I think you can feel probably all of it.
It could be in actual order. It would actually be in that order.
Yeah, I think sometimes, you know, if I see something, you know, really disastrous, I think my emotions, I feel compassion. You know, like the incident with the fire. I really felt for the victims.
Oh my gosh,
But I think as well, one important emotion we do feel when we see disasters is, you know, and it's not a very comfortable emotion, it's a sense of, it's relief, isn't it? Because actually it's somebody else, and it's awful to feel that.
Yeah.
But I think it's a natural human thing to feel.
Oh my gosh, you just look at your situation and think, oh my gosh. My situation's not so bad.
No,
it's a natural way to. It is actually.
It's true that, you know, sometimes when something does happen to other people, and you know, especially if it's like it's close by, like, but then it's not affecting, you know, people near you. You think, wow, like, okay, you know, people around you think, people around me, they're safe. You know, but it's like one of those emotions, as you say, relief. It's like, you know, one of those you kind of feel, but compassion as well. All of those, I think, definitely.
Yes. So let's think about it. Were your answers mainly A, B, C?
Oh my God!
I think
you would keep it tabs.
I think it's. I don't know. It's a mixture, isn't it?
It is a mixture.
There's no direct. I'm sticking with that A. It's a mixture.
So for our viewers at home, if you're making notes, if your answer was mostly A, then you're extremely influenced. If your answer was B, you're easily influenced. And if your answer is C, you're quite influenced. And if your answer is D, then you're not influenced.
What about us?
So how easily, ladies, are you influenced?
Well, I think we're just a bit of a mixed up bunch, really. But I think that makes us human, really.
Completely.
I think it depends, doesn't it? It depends on the circumstances, it depends on the situation, it depends on the people.
So give us an example.
Okay, so when at work, say for instance, I don't anymore, but I used to work for the NHS, and you could see just ridiculous amounts of wastage and stupidity that used to go on. I'll give you an example. Once I was walking up to our office that used to have stairs, and somebody had spilt a coffee cup or something all over the stairs, and I thought, well, this is dangerous, this is silly, and I went charging. Well, I didn't go charging. I ambled in, got through, and I thought, well, I'll do something about that. And I said to the receptionist, I said, where's the mop? I'll go and clean the stairs because somebody's going to have an accident. And she said, oh, it's in the back somewhere. So I went in the back and I came out, and this is an honestly true story. She said, oh no, you can't do that. That's the wrong colour mop.
What?
And because and they said, oh, we'll have to call the cleaners. And do you know something? Hours later, that mess was still there.
Wow! I cannot believe that the wrong colour mop.
Common sense today.
Yeah, common sense goes out. And
it's not that common.
And you could easily be influenced by that situation about, I'm not going to do that because it's going to be the wrong thing to do. But it's
that's the thing. We're often influenced by things are wrong us, someone around us, you know.
And systems try and influence us, but we try and, you know, do the right thing sometimes.
Yeah, it's true. Today's show was truly inspiring. Today, if you woke up, means that you're blessed. Just to wake up. And to be healthy, that's a bonus. So let's keep making a difference by understanding your purpose, why you were created, why you're here on this earth. And don't be afraid to dream. Don't be afraid to set goals, set boundaries, and not be afraid to take risk. Life is to be lived. There must be balance. So think about it. There are things that you can do to help yourself. There's help available. You have heard our thoughts on today's show, so please share your thoughts with us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or by emailing comments@dkw.me. Join us next week for another exciting episode of DKW. Until then, it's goodbye.
You know.